Hi everybody, I'm here to do another story time with y'all about my twin flame journey and just share with y'all a little story about something that came up the other day that I remembered. It's actually not something that's in the book. It's something that I just spontaneously remembered, and then from that I had a little bit of more of a gushing of memories coming back to me, which was great. So I thought I would share those with you. A lot of the memories that I had about my twin flame or during that time, they've pretty much disappeared. It's really a great thing that I wrote the short book that I did, and aside from the book, I also kept my own personal notes. My book is very short, so if you're interested in reading a short read about my twin flame journey, that information is below. It's something that you could read in a night. So anyway, I kept journals and even some drawings and things about my notes and things that were happening during that time. I would actually write stuff down, especially after he passed away, because there were so many strange occurrences and things. Although I did not include everything in the book, simply because my book is pointing more towards non-duality, which was essentially what happened at the end of that journey, at the end of the twin flame journey. So when that happened, everything was seen for what it was. So when everything was seen for what it was, that twin flame journey and all those details and those notes and all of that stuff that I had written was just nothing. It was a story. It was never even had happened. So a lot of that stuff I didn't include in the book because all of that mystical type stuff just kind of pulls you back into the story, where I'm pointing towards what non-duality is and what the whole journey of the twin flame journey is, rather than focusing on just synchronicities or this mystical thing that happened, because that's not what is. That's just the story, and it's wonderful. And I think that through these videos I can share some of that stuff with y'all. And the next time I do a story time, maybe I'll pull out one of those journals and share either like a drawing or something I had written from that time. It's sort of like a diary, so I could actually read it and maybe just share some on it. But my actual book, and here it is an easy read. It's very clear, to the point of what all happened and what the end result was and what happened beginning to end. And although there is a lot of still mystical things that happen and I share in that book, there's a whole lot more that happened that I'll be sharing through these videos. So so anyhow, let's talk about what it was that I remembered. So I remembered that one time I was in my twin flame's truck. He had a really nice truck, and he had told me later with time, he told me that every 2 years he would buy a new truck, and his truck was always just immaculately clean, the inside and the outside, and he took a lot of pride in that, and he spent a lot of time there. And the time that I spent with him, a lot of it was in the truck as well, because he had to work in different locations in the city that we lived. So anyway, one time we were in his truck and we had stopped somewhere, and I think maybe we had eaten lunch or something in the car, in the truck, and I had left my my cup, let's say it was like a McDonald's drink cup, at the floor of the truck on my side, my passenger side floor. And I forgot to put it back into the cup holder, and he took off, and next thing I know, I look down and everything is wet and it's all just dirty, and just we needed to pull over and clean it. So I tell him I spilled my drink. Can we pull over and clean it? I'm so sorry. And he said, oh, don't worry about it. He handed me something from the back, and he said, don't worry about it, just wipe it up, and there's nothing, he said, there's nothing that you could do to ruin this truck. There's just nothing you can do to ruin it. And he just touched me, And as he touched me, like this peace just came over me. And then this like flush of love. And those words just repeated in my mind. And he also said, and I think maybe he was just pointing towards what kind of product it was. His truck had some kind of lining at the bottom, but he said, there's nothing you can do to mess this up. And he pointed towards it and whatever, and he didn't even sweat it. He didn't pull over to clean it or anything, and I just like loosely wiped it up, and he took care of it the next day. But what I noticed from that was just how just accepting of whatever he was. And also, so for one thing, a twin flame, I'm not sure all the details of a twin flame. I can only speak from my experience, and I do the same thing with non-duality. So if you're hearing something from me that maybe you don't hear from somebody else, it's because this is a very personal experience, and I share what literally happens with me without thinking of, does this fit in line with whatever is. I just share it, just in case anybody else is going through that. So anyway, with my twin flame, I feel like a twin flame shows you what truth is, what non-duality is. So for example, when he didn't care about the truck getting messed up, although it was something I knew that he really valued, when it happened, it was just what was happening. He had no problem with it. He didn't get angry, upset. I mean, he could have, and that would have been okay. But what I was learning from him was that whatever happens is okay. You know, as long as we're together, as long as we're here, whatever happens is okay. And that's also what happens in the non-dual seeing. You realize that whatever happens is okay. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what happens. It's okay. The other thing, what he had said to me, he said two things, but one thing that really stuck with me was he said, there's no way you can mess this up. You can't mess this up. And that really stuck with me. You know, something triggered in my mind for some reason. And it was because your twin flame teaches you these things. And so when I think of it now that I've had the non-dual seeing, I can mirror and see the parallel of it where he was just saying you can't do anything to mess anything up. That's the truth. When the non-dual seeing is seen for what it is, you see that there's no way you can mess this up. You can't mess up life. You just can't. You know, the only thing that could affect you is maybe your belief or your thought about whatever is happening. But what's actually happening, you can't do anything to mess it up. There is no you. There's nothing happening. It's just all appearing. So with it being an illusion, there's no way you can mess this up. You can feel like you messed this up, maybe, possibly, and that's okay. Whatever you feel and whatever you're doing is what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. That's why you can't mess it up. So, for example, you may hear me talk about that there's no free will. I don't really want to go into that right now, but there is no free will. But anyhow, let's just say there's free will because we have the real sense that there is free will. So whatever you choose to do, if I choose with my free will that I want to just quit my job and go off and live on a mountain, that's okay. I can do that. So there's just this sense of unconditional love that everything is accepted. Whatever you want to do, you can do. There's no way to mess this up. So all that conditioning that maybe, you know, your parents taught you, oh, you have to work so hard, and then you have to go to college, and you have to have this nice job, and then you get married, and you do this and that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, all this pressure to do these things, because of, you know, your upbringing or society or whatever, that stuff, if it's not really aligning with who you are, what I'm telling you is that everything is unconditional love. You can just go do whatever you want to do. If you want to quit your job tomorrow, if you want to divorce your spouse, if you want to start a business, if you want to try something that you've never tried, if you want to, whatever it is, if you want to change your identity, do some radical thing, everything is accepted. You can do it. You're free to do it. You're loved. Everything's been taken care of. There is nothing you can mess up in this life. There's nothing. So that is what I wanted to share with y'all. What happens after this is seen is that all of those times that maybe I had been doing things to please somebody else, whether it be my parents, following in my mother's footsteps as a psychologist or whatever, if it really wasn't aligning with me, as soon as everything was seen, I felt this unconditional freedom to just let go. I did quit my job. I did change my life. I did do things to change because I realized all of those chains and those kind of bounded type of mentality to this is the way it has to be, this is the way my parents taught me, this is the way my religion taught me. All of those chains were broken. No longer was I tied to wanting to do anything for anyone else. Everything was just unconditional love and freedom. I was free to do whatever I wanted to. So when that was seen, that's clearly what I did. And you are free too. You are completely free to break those chains. You're loved, you're held. Losing the self is not actually anything. When I say losing the self, or when you hear that, it doesn't mean something is truly lost in you. You just realize what really is, but nothing really changes. So everything is how it is. There's really no need to fear. Just let go into it. Everything is okay. You're free to be just you, the way you are. Do the things you want to do. You cannot mess this up. You've never messed this up. This is love. This is freedom. Nothing is happening, but you're free to do it all. It's very amazing. Anyway, I wanted to share that little bit of something that my twin flame had said to me in the truck because I felt it kind of tied into this non-duality. So your twin flame shows you through love what the true nature of reality is. Okay, well, thank you for watching.